YouTube, Shukin Shubby here with a review of the Power Rangers Super Megaforce Armored Might Super Mega Silver Ranger. So this is the Silver Ranger from Power Rangers Super Megaforce, our 6th Ranger for the series, otherwise known as Gokai Silver from Kaizo Sentai Gokaiger. And he is actually pretty cool. Ignoring the fact that the Armored Might bodies are very weirdly proportioned and muscular and weird, it's actually a very good figure. Included with him is obviously the base body for Super Megaforce Silver. We have the Super Silver Spear, as we are calling it. In its normal Trident mode, you have the anchor attachment that can swap off. I'll show that later. The spear in its blaster mode, right here, that he can hold on to as well. And this does also, in this mode, peg into his belt right here. But the way that it's designed, it doesn't really have anywhere to peg in, really. Hip blaster, I guess. I don't know. But you got that. You have two swappable hands that are just kind of the generic grippy hands that come with a lot of these Armored Might figures. And they work just like figure arts. You pull on that, pop that off, and then wiggle a hand around to pop it back on. I'm going to be using the weapons, so I want the hands that were included originally on there as well. The ball joint's actually starting to pop on this. That's not a good sign. These aren't the greatest of joints. I've had several figure arts break right here at the wrist before. So it's not my preferred joint of choice, but it's something. So you get two of those hands. You get the body armor for the Super Megaforce Silver Gold mode. It was Gokai Silver Gold mode in Gokaiger, but don't know what it's going to be called here because nothing states so in the instructions. You have the shoulder pads for the armor as well. So I'm not sure if it's going to be called Gold mode or not. Gold mode, I can't say that apparently, or not, but it's what we're going to use for the remainder of this review. So if any of you purchased the Super Megaforce Red Armored Might, you're looking at basically the same exact body, sans a new head. Now the head does have a cool gimmick to where the bandana folds down, because that's what it looks like when he enters Gold mode. So instead of having switchable heads or anything like that, they just had the bandana go up and down, which is actually kind of cool. If you try to make it to where it goes all the way down, it looks kind of okay. But if you make it go all the way up, it looks kind of silly, so you're going to have to find a happy balance. Well, where it should be, you should be able to make the sort of arrow portion of the anchor right there. So it's not all the way down and not all the way up. You're going to have to find a happy medium there. But it's not a bad figure. It's got articulation in all of the right places. I could use a little bit more articulation in the head. It's more or less simply a rotation joint right there. This collar piece just plugs right into the back. Ball and swivel right here at the shoulders, a swivel at the bicep, single joint at the elbow. You actually got a swivel right here at the forcep, I think it's called, muscles and stuff. And of course you have some movement in the wrist here. You got a upper chest joint here, ab crunch, rotation there at the waist. That does wiggle a little bit. Same ball and swivel joint at the hips. Swivel right here up the thighs. Single joint at the knee. And then a boot swivel and a foot swivel. So you've got a ton of articulation in this figure. And that's one thing I like about him. If they were a little bit more streamlined and less bulky, I understand might is in the name, but you don't have to look like this to be mighty. But if it was just a little bit more streamlined, I'd actually really love these figures, but the kind of muscular look honestly kind of turns me off of them. However, when you put the armor on this guy, a lot of his muscles go away, and that actually makes it really nice looking on display. So without further ado, let's bring in the armor. There is one thing you can do with this armor that is actually pretty neat. You can make a blaster out of it. That does sound weird, but it wasn't used in the show or anything like that. It's just a fun additional thing that Bandai America put in to add a little bit of playability. So you're going to want the anchor piece, and then that will slide through the armor, peg in right there, and then right there. So it's kind of starting to make the look of a blaster. Then bring in the shoulder pieces. These are actually going to slide in right in these grooves right here. I can get one to stay in okay, and then the other one just kind of doesn't want to stay in at all. So it is not the easiest task in the world to accomplish. It might just be, I don't want to say an error with my figure, but it might just be a problem with mine and not a widespread error, because I haven't really heard a whole lot about people having issues with it. But so line that up and then sort of get the armor in there. That's probably a little bit easier method of doing it. So once you have that all lined up, it can still fall out, just a word of warning, so be a little bit careful. Make sure that everything is pegged together where it's supposed to be. And now you have this, what's supposed to be a blaster. At the core, it looks a lot like the anchor key, just with the a little spout here instead of a key. So that's kind of cool. You can sort of make the anchor key out of the armor, just like the Japanese figure that they had. It was a 5-inch scale figure, though. Now, inside the armor here is a little peg right inside there. I don't know if you can see it right there. Hopefully you can see it. And that is where he's going to grip. It's a little bit weird in the fact that you want to grip it from the underhand, but that doesn't work all that well. So it actually kind of works best to flip his entire hand around. It doesn't look good, but it's the most secure way. Now you're supposed to peg his hand in the armor first and then put it together, but I have found that to be somewhat difficult to accomplish. So if you just kind of get that in there, and you made the blaster. Now it is very top heavy, so you're going to want to lean him back a little bit, kind of bring his knees back, and there you go. So now he's got a cool blaster. If you can maneuver his hand around a little bit more, as long as you can still grip it, you can kind of make a sort of arm-mounted crossbow sort of thing. And that looks really cool. So it's a fun little additional thing to do with the figure. I'm going to put a link in the description to Raz's written review. And he did some cool pictures of the 6 Rangers released in the line so far, holding this as a sort of super mega cannon sort of thing. So that's kind of neat. And of course, you can just make him hold the spear, since these are the weapon holding hands. Just like that, but we'll go ahead and take a look at that when we are in the final posing phase. Now, putting the armor on him with all of these figures is actually pretty easy. In fact, he's probably the easiest of the bunch that I own. You pop off his collar, which makes him look kind of weird, but that's okay. Split this apart, fold these down and around, and this will just simply peg around him, just like so. There's one complaint I have about this figure that I'll cover in a little bit. We can probably see what I'm going to be complaining about right now. Shoulder pads just pop in to the little rivets here on the shoulders, just like that, which I like the way of doing this, as they sit flush enough with the armor to look good, just like that, but can flop around to increase posability. So I do appreciate that method of getting things done. And that's actually it. Like I said, you have the anchor mode for this one, so make sure you got the anchor up on top, and you can go ahead and hold that. But for now, we'll take a look at the articulation in this mode. Nothing is actually really hindered. You can still get a full rotation on there, and obviously you can't get a full rotation on the head anymore, but that's really the only limitation. And make sure you kind of keep that down. It looks a little bit off, but I like pushing it all the way down just because it locks it in place so it doesn't end up popping up on you. Now, as I mentioned earlier, there is one flaw with the figure that I have, and that's these. They stick out quite a bit. I mean, they actually do a little bit hinder articulation in the arm here when you're trying to get off certain poses, because they protrude so much on here that it's a little bit cumbersome to get around. But outside of that, I don't have any problems with this. It looks nice. It's missing a little bit of black here in the bottom anchor portions, But outside of that, it looks nice. All of these little heads are actually raised. It's a full sticker, but the plastic underneath it has a raised bubble, so that the helmet will be on a little bubble, and it looks nice. So you got Robo Knight, Mercury Ranger, Gold Ranger, Drago Ranger, Green Ranger, Quantum Ranger, Silver Ranger from space, White Ranger, Ranger Operator Series Silver and Gold, Solaris Knight, Green Samurai Ranger, Gold Samurai Ranger, Lunar Wolf Ranger, and Omega Ranger on there. So you've got all of these 6 Rangers that they decided to use in Gokaiger. Why Abare Killer's on there and not Geki Chopper, Rhino Ranger from Jungle Fury. I guess they just picked one. I don't really know the reasoning behind it, as both teams were a team of 5. They had a reasoning for doing what they're doing, I'm sure. So you just give him the spear in its anchor mode. And there you go. It's a very, very basic pose, but it's one that works. Just kind of make sure he's not toppling over, as my table's a little bit unstable. And you got a very nice looking figure. So overall, I actually really recommend this figure. If you're a fan of the Silver Ranger, but not the gold mode, then it's probably a pretty easy pass. Considering that the undersuit figure is very muscular and just looks very weirdly proportionate. I would wait for the 5-inch figure if you want to get a figure for the Silver Ranger. However, if you do like the gold mode, then I would definitely pick this up. There's no confirmed release of a gold mode 5-inch figure in any of the listings, so it looks like we are not getting one. So if you want a 5-inch scale gold mode Silver Ranger, you're going to have to import the Japanese AMAS figure. Which I'll try to find a link to somewhere and put in the description, at least so you can see it. There is a picture of it in Raz's review as well, which I'll link to. But overall, it's a fun figure. The gold mode armor looks really cool, and considering that all these figures are the same base body, you can stick this on any of the Armored Might figures released, and Raz actually has that in his review too. So if you want to see the armor on some other figures, go check out his written review. I'll link to it in the description below, as I said before. But overall, a great figure. I picked this up at Toys R Us. It was also spotted at Kmart, and I believe Amazon is stocking it fairly regularly as well. So if you're looking for it, be on the lookout. It's a great figure that I do definitely recommend to fans of the suit and fans of this mode. I kind of fell out of the Armored Might releases. I never picked up Super Megaforce Red or the Mighty Morphin Green Ranger, just because I didn't really particularly like the line. But I do have to say that this figure did win me over, and I'm glad I was able to pick it up because it is a pretty cool release, regardless of how you feel about the Armored Might line. So thanks for watching, take care, and have a great one. Bye.